Hi, welcome to our 2024 Black History pop-up exhibit at Greater St. James. This year, our focus is art and crowns. We are people who understand the power of expression through other medium, whether it's print, whether it's basket making, whether it's textile with sewing or cooking. All that we do it as unto the Lord. We also are a people that have a rich heritage in crowns. The wearing of hats has been a part of our culture since the very beginning. The kings and queens of ancient Africa wore head wraps. Today you see women wearing gilets and other types of turbans. But in the South, the good old South, you see mothers and women going to church wearing hats. Maya Angelou wrote a book about crowns, and it is on display in the vestibule. And I just wanted to take a minute and share with you what you will see at our Black History pop-up exhibit this year. You will see a collection of art, and most of the art is from the collection that belongs to Kim and Johnny Mazik. Johnny grew up in this neighborhood. His parents are from this neighborhood, and he was raised, he began his life in this neighborhood before he moved away to New York, and then from there to California. But Kim and Johnny recently relocated to the Low Country and have been faithful attendees at Greater St. James. And the Lord just impressed upon me to reach out to Kim to share artwork because her dad was an artist. And the collection that she has curated for us is just phenomenal. You will see pieces that you will easily be able to connect with, either through colors, through the theme of the piece itself, or through the message. So we really want you to spend time looking at all that has been laid out for you, along with all of the art pieces that are there. There's a piece from Mr. Willis Sanders, who is our artist in residence. And there's also a piece from Melissa Foxworth that is very similar to one of Mr. Sanders's piece. There's some photography from Danny Foxworth on display. Of course, there is some Jonathan Green works on display. We have some textile art on display in the form of a quilt from Altine Foxworth, an Afghan made by myself, Reverend Foxworth, a quilt that was given to me made by an African-American artist from Colombia named Sonia Archie, as well as an Afghan that was crocheted by my sister, Melvina Busby. You will see tons of crowns, hats that were used for specific occasions, whether it was working outside or for church. You will see hats that were worn by some of the matriarchs of our church and some of the patriarchs. So as you look at our displays this year, may you understand the rich heritage that is uniquely ours as people of color. May you also recognize the potential in our children to create these unique art forms. You will also notice there is a display that has a video of an oral history of the Longridge community and its connection to the Wilson Plantation, as told by my daughter, Myra Melissa Foxworth, who has done work for over 2 decades in looking at the history of our community, as well as the ancestral roots. So I invite you to listen to that video by scanning the QR code. This year, our hope is that you will leave elevated, that you will leave feeling a sense of pride and that you will recognize that for believers of color, the sky is not the limit, that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. Have a great Black History Month, but know your history takes more than a month to share with others. So share it openly and lovingly. God bless.
Hey family, my name is Melissa Foxworth. Folks who went to school with me call me Myra, but my home name is Melissa. You may be able to tell from my face that I am the daughter of Reverend Myron Foxworth and the illustrious bass player Ronnie Foxworth, and I'm Danny's sister. I grew up right on Longridge Road, and I said my Easter speeches right here in St. James AME like many of you did. Growing up, Longridge was just home, and I had no idea of how rich our history was until I was in high school, and I was given the assignment to speak with my grandparents and really get a little bit of a family tree started. That lit a fire in me that has been burning for 20 years. I've been researching our family history for 2 decades. Longridge is the name of the plantation where we were held captive by Dr. John Wilson during the 17 and 1800s. I discovered that really just kind of digging around in my research journey. And I was blessed to be able to get in contact with one of his descendants, David Cole, a couple of years ago. And he was able to fill in several blanks in our family tree. Dr. Wilson's plantation journal contains a huge amount of our family names, and I'm still wading through it, honestly. Because he was a doctor, his descendants state that he was known for treating his slaves very well. And he did record in that journal, there are several entries that show what our ancestors passed away from. The oldest ancestor I've been able to find thus far is Nancy Wilson. She was born in 1760. She was purchased by John Wilson for $500. She had a large family at Longridge Plantation and lived until the age of 91. She's buried at Jack Droz Cemetery on Bobfield Hill, along with her granddaughter, whose headstone reads Mom Katie Brown. Katie Brown was a cook of the plantation. She's also buried there. After the war, Mama Katie's daughter, Emma Brown, married Franklin Simmons Sr., who was born in 1831. Franklin was purchased at the market in Wilmington, North Carolina. It was after the war that he took the name Simmons. And the story relayed to me by David Cole, as told by Virgil Simmons, states that after emancipation, Dr. Wilson's son offered Franklin Sr. up to 83 acres at 47 cents an acre. So, if you are a Simmons, a Mazik, or a Smith, it is very likely that we share all these ancestors in common. I want you to note 2 things about what I just said. Number 1, we have been in Longridge since before South Carolina was a state. And number 2, after emancipation, we bought the plantation. After emancipation, we really were a community of farmers and moonshiners. That was the primary industry here. There was a schoolhouse where the fire station is now, and many of our grandparents got up to 6 years of education before they began working on their parents' farms. You did have the option after year 6 of going back and doing the year 6 again if you wanted to. My grandmother told me that. In many ways, this is the same Longridge that I grew up in. Everyone at least had a huge garden if they didn't have a field. All of the men had day jobs, and at the end of the day, you'd see tractors slowly moving up the road as they went to their second job in the field. We had Bill's store and Mary's store, so you didn't have to go into town to get groceries. And when people had extra, we always shared. It was common to come home and see a bushel of zucchini that somebody sat on your front porch while you were at work, or somebody would bring my grandmother a bucket of fish that was still swimming. And we spent all of our summers on the porch shelling peas till our thumbs hurt. and shucking corn. At the end of the summer and going into the fall, we canned, and we had Harvest Day service at St. James. And in the winter, we went over the swamp to get wood for our fires. I do this work because I want our children to be able to rattle off their history just like any other folks who have a completely unbroken family line that was not impacted by slavery. I want for our children to have their history at their fingertips. So that's why I do the work that I do. My tree is on Ancestry.com. It's public. Please share any family stories or pictures that you have. I am always interested. We are a resilient and beautiful family, and we still have so many of our old ways that have been lost in other places. Strength and excellence is our birthright, and I'm so proud of where I come from, and you should be too.